How well are you aware of your class? Before we start today's video, I would like to ask this question to all the educators over there. Why is it really very important for the teachers to understand the students? So welcome to EduTrek, and this is Maddy. So today's video is all about understanding Gen Zs and as a teacher what we need to know. I can ensure you that at the end of the video you have so many takeaways from this video which will help you to plan your lessons effectively. So as a teacher, it's very important to understand our students. If you're planning any kind of a content, if you wanted to deliver them, it's very difficult if you do not know your students. So especially the Gen Zs who fall under 90s and 2000, who are a part of millennials, that is Gen Ys. So right now at the moment we are at the phase of alpha. So let's not go to alpha. We will be focusing on Gen Zs because they are a part of phase 3. You'll find them in the middle school and you'll find them in the high school, or they are the adolescence age and they are in the career oriented stage they are. So it becomes really very important for a teacher, if she's planning her lesson, how can she make her lesson very effective? Why is it really very important to understand them? Because most of the time, the we are in the teachers are in a notion that the students are really very rude and they do not have some kind of an concept, that they just all the time they're surrounded by smartphone and all, and you cannot rely all the time, whether whatever the information they're giving, they have the access. So that's the reason, how can we make our teaching very effective? So there are so many tips which you're going to take from today's video. So let's start. Okay. So basically, when you say that Gen Zs are called as digital natives, why are they called digital natives? Because when you see that they're always surrounded by these smartphones, social media, AI tools, and most of the time, and they have access to information very quickly. But do you think that they are completely aware of using the technology? No, because they lack digital literacy. They do not know how a technology has to be handled well. So in that case, what has to be done? So as a teacher, how to align lessons, okay, along with you know technology integrated lesson. Usually the Gen Z's are the one who are really they get quickly bored. Actually, it's a kind of a boredom. They really don't find it fascinating, the lesson. In case if you're teaching a raw lesson, they find it really very difficult. They really don't like it because their attention span is really very low. You wanted to know what is attention span of Gen Zs? It's just 8 seconds. Yes, it's only 8 seconds. They are less than millennials. Okay, basically their attention span is really very less. So how and the ICT integrated lessons can be planned. So we can the teachers can use some infographics. They can use some attention seeking videos. They can make the classroom more effective with interaction, and they can interactive content. Either they can do some sort of a micro learning or a discussion or a kind of a quick task. All right, a clear structure and a frequent checkpoints are really very important. So when we are speaking about it, the teacher, most of the time, if they are taking a small kind of a content, if they wanted to deliver it in the classroom, they can integrate some sort of an video, or it can you can we can just take it as a warm up session. For 5 minutes or a 3 minutes, we can just start with a kind of a small video, and we can asking them to speak on it, okay, or to jot their ideas on it. Okay, what do you think about the video? What do you think? What is going on? Can you just give your ideas on it? So moreover, the Gen Z's are the one who wanted to get involved in learning. They are not the one who are not something like teacher centered education. No, they do not want that, because now presently it's a student centered education where the teachers only be a part of learning. Only they have to guide and they have to motivate. It's not about the content, because for the content it's really very accessible to them. Okay, so when we are speaking about it, any content, whatever content, if the teacher she's trying to teach, what is it? It's not about what, it is all about why are they teaching, creating a relevance and creating a purpose where every content is related to real life situation. It's very important, connect lessons to real life problem and show practical application. That's very important because the Gen Zs, without a purpose, they do want to learn. Why do we want to learn about something which is of no use? So always a content, whether any kind of a content, a teacher be creative and try to connect the content with real life application and teach them that either you're teaching any kind of a trigonometry, you're teaching a literature, you're teaching a moral science, you're teaching social studies, you're teaching science, environment, math, or anything. Make sure you connect the topic with real life, that there is a relevance why you're learning the particular topic today. If you do not have the relevance for your content, definitely your students will never show interest in learning. So when we are speaking about value, authenticity, and transparency, Gen Z's quickly they can sense insincerity of the teachers. Let us assume that if the teacher, at a certain point where, you know if they come up with a kind of a content where the teachers are really not very confident in delivering the content, they may find sometimes, like, confusion, or they just left out a kind of a word pronunciation, because the nouns and all are really very difficult because every country has their own pronunciation. So if you do not know the content, if you do not know anything, accept that you do not know. I don't know. You do a research and you share it with me, and I will be really very glad. If you just say this line, you are giving a leadership quality to the student, right? But definitely the student will feel happy that my teacher, she doesn't know or he doesn't know. Let me just do some homework and I'm going to share it with the class tomorrow. Okay? Student, admit admit your mistake, and at the same time create a space for students to express themselves. It's very important that as a teacher, how much space are we creating for every student in a classroom? Let us assume that a teacher with around like 5 lessons in a day, or 30 students in a classroom. How is it really possible for a teacher to create space for every student in a classroom? Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Maybe it's not possible for all the students, you know, to listen to them, but at least one or two, you can say, all right, fine. Giving them, okay, fine. You can just come and meet me during my lesson, during my leisure. All right, okay, fine. That's good. Can we just see it in the other time? So just giving a space, I really appreciate what you've been doing it. Okay, so this will definitely help the confidence of the students. The next one, very important topic, is mental health and awareness. Why did I say very important? Is that these Gen Zs, they are, most of the time they have a lot of stress, anxiety, and they have a lot of burnouts. Yes. And why did I say? And the classroom, which as a teacher, it has to be a supportive classroom. The environment should be really incorporating and mindfulness. And most of the time, since we said that the attention span is really very less, so small breaks teaching the content would definitely help to know your students. Observant of emotional needs, referring for support when necessary. So it's very important as an educator to address the needs of every student, emotional needs. So we understand that as a teacher, we don't get time to know the student. So in that case, we can refer some support from counselors who are there in the class. It could be a kind of a mental health, or kind of a peer pressure, or a kind of a family problem, or the student is dealing some kind of an academic stress and all. If they're not able to understand a particular content, either we are referring them some sort of a remedial lessons and all right, giving some sort of an worksheets and all, or a kind of a buddy support and all. So how are we addressing the emotional needs of the students? That's really very important. So mental health and awareness, we have another video coming up for this, so I'll be sharing that in the next video. So but we'll going for the next slide. We have the collaboration and independence. Collaboration and independence is all about value personal choice and autonomy, use group work with clear roles, offer choices in projects or ways to demonstrate learning. So, teaching healthy tech habits. If we are incorporating any kind of a technology integrated work, all right, these are some of the tips that, all right, just offering them some sort of a personal choice. For example, any content, if we are teaching them, and in case if they wanted to do it in the other way, or it can be a choice board, is a very effective way. Either they are kinesthetic, they are visual learners, or they wanted to do it on there, or a speaker or a drawing or anything. Give them an offer on the same content. They can present it in various ways. All right, offer choices in projects or ways to demonstrate learning. All right, and all the time they value acceptance, and the most important thing is constructive feedback. All right, how well as a teacher are we giving constructive feedback? So basically, constructive feedback is, we do not have time, I understand, but constructive feedback is all about, when I have decided this, I have gone for some of the seminars and all, and I really appreciated the way how they have given me some of the tips that how a constructive feedback has to be given. Rather than starting it, you didn't do this, you haven't done this, you have to improve on it, you have to work on this, you have to have not done something like this. So rather than that, we can just say you tried it, you well done, you at least you put up some effort, great efforts you have taken. All right, and then I really appreciate when you work on so and so areas, you work on your reading skills, you work on developing more ideas, you can elaborate your ideas on the content, you can work on some of the punctuation marks or a kind of a capitals or a spelling errors and all. So if we are giving this kind of a constructive feedback, definitely the student will try to work on themselves. And use inclusive language and materials. So when we are speaking about the inclusive language, rather than that saying just focusing on one, it should be an inclusive, like to the all in the classroom, or and it's something like we say that, all right, fine, so now I wanted to focus on these. Inclusive language is really very important, rather than like focusing on the needs of a particular student. That's very important. If we are delivering the same content to all the 25 students in the classroom, do you think the IQ of every student is different? So, how are they going to take it? If one same lesson, if we are teaching to the whole 25 students, that is practically not possible. So, inclusive instructions is a must as a teacher. The next one is allow identity expression in safe ways. Allowing identity expression, right? That's very important, to value them, to respect them, whatever they say in a classroom. And constructive use formative assessments and real time tools, like, so you have so many tools. So when we are speaking about ICT integrated or technology, the Gen Zs are really fascinated when technology is blended with learning. We can use quizzes, we can use Kahoot. There are so many online assessments are there. All right, for every content, if we just go through that, for example, if you're focusing on Padlet, you can just type it, you have to just sign in, and you can just use it for the plenary or any kind of a quiz. And you can focus on the quizzes, you have Kahoot, where you can see the performance of all the students, and that's really very effective. Just try that. Okay, and encourage self-assessment and peer feedback, and this is really very important. So usually, with a lot of the stress and all, evaluating so many work and all to check, it becomes really very difficult. So the best part about it is self-assessment and peer assessment. Either you can say, all right, fine, today I'm going to give you the key, so why don't you just check by yourself? So that in this way the students will know where that particular, she or he is making a mistake. If it is a peer assessment, the other will be able to give a feedback that where the French is going really wrong, and which are the areas they need to work on. So peer assessment and self-assessment are the two evaluation we can use it in the classroom. Yeah. The next one is supporting Gen Zs. So who is going to support Gen Zs? So most of the time when we see that, the parents are busy, right? And as a teacher, it's really not possible for supporting all the students in a classroom of 25, right? And then the society who's always stereotyping it. So what are we supposed to do? But absolutely, there's no escape, right? So what are we supposed to do as the parent, as the school, as a society? We need to understand the needs of Gen Zs rather than stereotyping them. Encourage digital detox routines in a regular way, but in a healthy way. That's more important. That how do we do that? As a parents, spending time and then parental guidance is really very important when they are using screen timing. It's very important, like at a what time the particular the child has to use, right, the technology or iPads or a social media and all. Keeping a regular check as a parent is really very important. And as the school, what are some of the mandatory regulatory things that the student that the school can take over? For example, not using the devices so and so point, or a particular assessment for learning a particular project or a kind of a research work they can use, but not all the time again. Because all the time if we are surrounded by the you know the devices and all, so it becomes really very difficult for learning and completing the syllabus and making themselves prepared for the exams as well. Provide mental health education, okay, teaching them mental health education about the technology. All right, we can just make them aware of online bullying, online these things, what are the threats, or some of them, there are so many things they know how to use it, but how well are they aware of using certain apps, which is really, for example, there's so many betting apps are there, so many video games are there, they are losing the money, right? And they are into so much of things, online bullying is happening, and we all know that. So, how are we going to create that kind of an awareness? At least in one lesson connected to that, at least 2 minutes or a 5 minutes, if you're talking about them, definitely it will help our students, right? Offering counseling and peer support programs. So, offering counseling on a regular basis, just 5 minutes of your 50 minutes or a 45 lesson will definitely help the Gen Zs to get out of the mental health issues, stress, or anxiety, or anything. So use gamification. The very important part about is every lesson is using a gamification. So not about every lesson, at least if you are using, if you are really a very creative teacher, if you're using a gamification for every content, for example, like a plenary, you can use it, or as a starter, you can use it, right? There are so many ways. There are so many quizzes are available. So Gen Zs will definitely get attracted to the gamification, and believe me, you will become the favorite teachers of them. Okay, add points, you can use level, you can use online timers, and you can use badges, you can use progress bars, you can turn lessons into challenges or even an escape lessons as well. So in case if it's a blended learning, you can use this. All right, celebrate small achievements to build momentums. Okay, anything, you can give them a badge or virtual badges, or a kind of an the virtual levels, or you can give them the points and all. So this is something which was really fascinating for them, and they're really gonna like it. Okay, the next one is use active learning strategies. So what are some of the active learning strategies you can provide in your classroom? Is you can use labs, simulations, you can use mini projects, you can use creative tasks, incorporate debates, role play, and hands-on experiments. So for every content or whatever, for at least in a week, you can do one lesson, an active lesson, where it can be a debate, it can be a role play, a lab, and experiments. And the very important thing is that use movement based learning. Movement based is not just simply using your hands or something, but not making them sit at one place, right? Just having a gallery walk, or sometimes we can ask them to take a lesson outside where we are having a refresh with connecting with the environment, you know rather than in the four walls. It's really very refreshing for them to learn the content when they are in an open space, right? Like it could be a gallery walk or the learning station. You can assign the group tasks, and you can just put that on the walls, and we can just ask them, like, and go just have a walk and just see what did you learn, which are called as a learning station or a gallery walk. or an open, space learning, which is something different apart from the regular or the routine, the learning that teach soft skills and world competencies. This is very important skill, actually. I would like to say that as you know these Gen Z's, most of the time they are surrounded with social media technologies and so many apps and all. They can access to the information, but do you really think that they are aware of soft skills? Do they know what is the meaning of a soft skills? No, they are not aware of it. Soft skills is absolutely, as an educator, we are the one who is going to foster them, because as a parents, they are do not have the time to spend with their children, and most of the time, since they spend in the school, so it is a responsibility of the teacher to develop soft skills like teaching thank you and please, and teaching some statement which will definitely, build that confidence, and it builds them some sort of a good ground rules, right? Teach skills beyond academics. They can learn the content because the content is accessible to them, but we need to teach them out of the academics something, teaching soft skills. All right, some of them which is really like giving some sort of an information which they don't know. All right, if we are giving that sort of an information, like kind of in career counseling, some kind of new programs, like what are they going to do after the school, like what is the present competencies, what are the challenges they're going to face right now at the moment, what is a job description about some of them, or different jobs and all, or different skills they have to work on. If these things, if we are giving it, definitely they will have that kind of an interest in even listening to the lessons as well. Management, time management is really, for every task we can just, it should be a kind of a time phase. We can use timers, online timers are available, we can use that as well. And resilience is something which is something knowing from your mistake and building yourself, which is really very important, because sometimes they are very stressed, they are burnouts, because they feel like I have committed a mistake and this is something they cannot get off it. But resilience is something, as a teachers, we need to develop this skill. Resilience and perseverance is really very important. If we are not teaching it, in the sense our Gen Zs are at stake. Use real world simulations, guest speakers, or virtual field trips. So all the time the teacher is teaching the lessons, that's not something intriguing. So it's better sometimes if we are inviting some of the guest lecture who is expertise in a particular content, which definitely will be interesting. They wanted to know about, either they are questioning the guest lectures, or they wanted to know something, in case if they are not free with the teachers, they definitely they wanted to know more about it, like questioning and all. Active participation, a kind of a seminars, a kind of a workshops will definitely help, the Gen Z's to have that kind of an interaction with, the guest speakers. Or we can arrange sometimes a virtual field trips as well. So these days the virtual field trips are very famous. We need to get the link, and they can have a complete, they can experience a virtual field trips, rather than just taking them on field, which is not possible. So virtual field trips we can arrange for any places where they wanted to go. All right, then in case if we are, so the basically the Gen Z's are more about, so we are at the verge of, at the end of we are at the verge of completing our today's video. So when we are speaking about it, let's go back and just revise, what exactly did we have to focus on. All right, so the Gen Z's are more about, they are digital, they love visual, they are diverse, and they should be a purpose driven. So why are they teaching rather than what are you teaching? So it should be an effective teaching requires, which should be really very short. And in case if you are taking short breaks, if you're giving them, that's really very good, because their attention span is really very less. Next thing, the lesson should be really very engaging. Either debate or the interactive session will definitely help to plan your lessons well. And then it should be text supported instructions. Either if you're taking 4 or 5 PowerPoint slides based upon your lessons, because all the instructions, some of them may understand the instruction and some may not understand the instruction. In case the instructions are clearly on a PowerPoint, then that is really very effective even for your lessons as well. I have tried it. Try this. Okay. Prioritizing relevance, and then collaboration boosts motivation. Okay. Collaboration, everything. So it is something which will definitely boost their confidence. Mental wellness and understanding the emotional needs is really very important. And then inclusion instruction, giving an instruction based upon the needs of every student is really very important. So as an educator, we need to plan our lessons accordingly, create a dynamic and responsive and future ready classrooms, because this is basically upon the shoulders of every teacher. The teacher is something really very special because they are dealing with the career oriented Gen Zs. So it is our responsibilities of how well we are doing it. I'm sure that you have taken some of the tips. If you have anything related about today's video, we can have an interactive session. If you need more resources related to today's video, I can post you on, just say hi on my YouTube channel, and I can give you more tips on it. I can share you some of the resources related to, some of the resources related to an active lesson planning, or I can share you some of the lesson plans as well, and the PPTs of today's lesson. So I hope that you are clear with few tips at least you would have learned. I'm sure that most of them who are abroad and all, they must be, focusing in all these things, but some of the countries, like when we are speaking about India and all, still it is a teacher centered education where most of the scope is not given to the students. If you are taking few of the things, about it, if a technology integrated using as a plenary, or you know these things, if you are taking it out of it, if you're planning your lessons like this, understanding the emotional needs of the students, giving them the leadership, giving them the challenge that to lead over the lessons or to understand them or to interact them, this will definitely help your students a lot, right? I'm sure that, this video will definitely of some help to you, and you have so many tips to take over and plan your lessons effectively. So this is something, if you have any thing or anything about today's video, you can ping to me and you can access to my YouTube channel, so I'm always there to help you out. Okay. Thank you so much for today's video, because all your learning happens over here, and related to all educational videos and resources, you can get tuned to EduTrick. Thank you so much. Take care.